politics is one calling where input is not always equal to output. You see, so you put in all that effort and you may end up nowhere because there's so many dynamics. What they actually did, the decisions they took in Assam did for me is it would have finished me as a mass leader, which means that if I can't survive in the party, that's not good for the party and neither is it good for me. It's a 24/7 job. Otherwise, you can't do it. And you have to be, if I may use the word, you have to be totally focused and obsessive about where you want to get. Otherwise, it's tough to, actually deal with it. But you have to enjoy it also. If you don't enjoy politics, if you're not passionate and excited about politics, you can't last in it, that's for sure. महिलाएं इस देश में करीब करीब 50% है आबादी, और अगर उनके मुद्दों को हम महत्वपूर्ण नहीं समझते तो ना ये देश आगे बढ़ सकता, ना कोई राजनीतिक दल आगे बढ़ सकता. Exciting to have film stars in parliament, but I do feel strongly that when you are a film star and you're parliamentarian and then you don't attend parliament, I think that's a bit disappointing.
Women in Politics on Table Talk today. Joining me on this episode is Sushmita Dev. She's a Rajya Sabha MP belonging to the Trinamool Congress. Among other things, we talk about the importance of the women voter now in the elections, but I also ask her whether correspondingly the importance and representation of the woman in politics has gone up or not.
But does that take a toll on you sometimes? This constant traveling, this constant, you quite don't know where you are the next day. Or is it part of the game and you just have to go along?
At times it's quite unsettling. And, politics is one calling where input is not always equal to output. You see, so you put in all that effort and you may end up nowhere because there's so many dynamics, and you do feel there is always some separation anxiety, and you do feel homesick at times. But I guess it's part of the job. When you join politics, you sign up for that. I mean, there's no compromise. It's a 24/7 job.
How's the journey been for you? Are you, somewhat satisfied, or in politics also, again, you're never satisfied? I mean, there's just so much more to do.
From my experience, I can tell you that politics is like no other calling. And the kind of commitment you need to be in politics and the kind of sacrifices and adjustments you have to make in your life to join politics, unless you're totally dedicated, it's very, very, very tough to be here, And I think the only other life that I can compare it to is one of doctors, a surgeon. You can be called at any time. A life depends on you. It's a bit like that. But I think you have to be very passionate about it. It's a 24/7 job. Otherwise, you can't do it. And you have to be, if I may use the word, you have to be totally focused and obsessive about where you want to get. Otherwise, it's tough to, actually deal with it. But you have to enjoy it also. If you don't enjoy politics, if you're not passionate and excited about politics, you can't last in it, that's for sure.
So what part of it are you enjoying?
You see, the general view of many people is, the public attention, everyone enjoys, your face is on a poster, you're on television, and journalists like yourself interview us. But that's the upside of politics. But what you really have to enjoy in politics is, I know it sounds very cliched, but you have to love to be able to serve the people. So if you built a bridge, it's not about you. You have to get excited about the fact that people are so happy to see that bridge being built, and somehow you were instrumental in doing it. You need to have that feeling inside you. And apart from that, I think what I really, really like about politics is also, no doubt, it's a lot to do with personal ambition also. I mean, if anybody says that I don't like power and I don't have any personal ambition, then you could be doing the same thing as a member of an NGO. Even an NGO can agitate and have a bridge built or a road built. So that's the difference between doing social activity and electoral politics, or politics like what I do. You have to be aspirational, and I am, and I love electoral politics. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. There's a challenge. So those are the things that make me happy about politics. But at the end of the day, you have to get a high by achieving something for your people. Otherwise, I think that's what excites me the most.
So was it a done deal? I mean, given who your father was it something of, or did you take time deciding about it?
You see, I'll be honest, I always wanted to do politics, and you may know that my first attempt at politics was in Delhi University. So I was the president of the Miranda House, and I fought the Delhi University elections, which I lost. So that's how early I started in my life. So I think all through my life, I watched my dad, and that's how my interest in politics began, to be very honest. And the question which always comes up is, was it easier? Yes, it's much easier to belong to a political family, because the first foot in the door is very, very easy. But the tough part is, it takes you a while to come into your own, and you inherit your father or your mother's legacies and friends and goodwill, but at the same time you automatically inherit their enemies, you see, and all the bad will also. So there's an upside to it, but there's a big cross to bear also when you come from a family which has been in politics. But luckily, in politics, there are no permanent friends and there are no permanent enemies.
When you moved parties, was that a very tough decision, given that you were moving from your father's party, or was it more, time has changed and circumstances have changed?
It was a very, very, very difficult decision, because it was just not my father who was in this party. My mother was in this party. She was an MLA. My grandfather, who was a freedom fighter, was also in this party and a health minister at the state. So it was like cutting the umbilical cord. You know what I mean? It was extremely tough, but I think it became sort of a question of my own survival. See, I'm not scared of losing an election, and I'm not scared of the fact that the Congress was in the opposition, and from the looks of it, it's not going very well. But that's not what made me leave. I think what they actually did, the decisions they took in Assam did for me is, it would have finished me as a mass leader, which means that if I can't survive in the party, that's not good for the party, and neither is it good for me. So if I keep losing an election because of the decisions the party has taken, I think even my bosses would say she's lost her mettle. So, and I was quite sure that I wanted to fight the BJP, and I didn't know what to do, because joining the BJP could never be an option for me. So I have been an admirer of Mamata Banerjee since I think I was a kid. When she had got beaten up, she was in hospital. I used to go with my father to see her, and I think it was a blessing in disguise that she accepted to give me a break.
अभी तक का सफर तृणमूल के साथ, सुष्मिता, कैसा रहा है?
तृणमूल में मैं जुड़ी थी अगस्त के महीने में in 2021. देखिए, फर्क तो बहुत है. अगर मैं ये कह दूं कि फर्क नहीं है और तृणमूल कांग्रेस के अंदर कोई चैलेंजेस या चुनौती नहीं है, ये पूरा गलत होगा. बहुत सारी चुनौतियां हैं. नई पार्टी है, एक प्रदेश में जाकर शुरू करना बहुत मुश्किल है. फिर जिस तरह कांग्रेस पार्टी में सिस्टम्स थे, AICC थी, जनरल सेक्रेटरी, एक सिस्टम था, क्योंकि ये 135 वर्ष पुराना पार्टी है, जो इस देश के हर प्रदेश में उसका एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है। तो यहाँ पर शायद वो मैकेनिज्म नहीं है, इसलिए बहुत चीजें नए तरीके से मुझे सीखना पड़ रहा है या करना पड़ रहा है। पर इन एवरी डिफिकल्टी देयर इज अ अपॉर्चुनिटी। हर मुश्किल परिस्थिति में एक नयापन भी होता है। तो ऐसा मैं सोचती हूँ कि मुझे बहुत कुछ नए तरीके से बनाने का मौका मिल रहा है। सो एक बिल्डिंग प्रोसेस में हिस्सेदारी है, तो वो अलग है। सो इट्स नॉट लाइक आई डोंट मिस सर्टेन थिंग्स दैट वर देयर इन द कांग्रेस। कई ऐसी चीजें मुझे याद आती है कांग्रेस में, पर यहाँ एक नए तरीके से जो कांग्रेस में कमियां थी वो इस पार्टी में ना हो, वो फर्क भी लाने में एक नया आनंद है। सो फर्क तो है, जरूर है।
You're fairly passionate about women and empowerment of women and women awareness issues relating to women. अब 2 साल के बाद, is this becoming more of a priority? क्योंकि 2 साल से, women have been stuck indoors, घर में बैठे हैं, lots of them and their husbands have lost their jobs. इस challenge को कैसे लेंगे?
See, I'll tell you, women are almost महिलाएं इस देश में करीब 50% है आबादी। और अगर उनके मुद्दों को हम महत्वपूर्ण नहीं समझते तो ना ये देश आगे बढ़ सकता, ना कोई राजनीतिक दल आगे बढ़ सकती है। यही सच्चाई है। और भागीदारी जो कहते हैं, भागीदारी एक तैयार करने की जरूरत है महिलाओं के लिए, चाहे वो राजनीति में हो, चाहे वो बिजनेस या जॉब मार्केट में हो। और आप रोजगार की बात कर रहे हैं कि बहुत बेरोजगारी बढ़ गई है। मेरा मानना है कि जिस संख्या में महिलाएं इस देश में है, अगर उनके रोजगार का साधन हम तैयार नहीं कर पाते हैं तो हमारा देश इकोनॉमिकली भी कभी आगे नहीं बढ़ सकता। पर एक चीज सबको समझने की जरूरत है, हर राजनीतिक दल को और हर सरकार को एट द गवर्नेंस लेवल, कि महिलाएं ज्यादा से ज्यादा संख्या में अभी वोट डालने आ रही है, जो पहले कभी नहीं होता था। इफ यू लुक एट द टर्न आउट, अगर आप इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया के आंकड़े देखेंगे, महिलाएं ज्यादा संख्या में आ रही हैं वोट डालने। तो अगर किसी प्रदेश में 60% पुरुष है और 40% महिलाएं हैं, तो आउट ऑफ 40 महिलाओं में करीब 38 महिलाएं आती हैं वोट डालने, और 60 अगर पुरुष है तो शायद 40 पुरुष आते हैं वोट डालने। सो महिलाएं जिस तरह अब मतदान में कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं, उनको एक अलग वोट बैंक की तरह देखने की जरूरत है चाहिए। और वोट बैंक ये नहीं कि मैं कह रही हूँ कि उनका वोट ले लेना चाहिए, बट आई एम सेइंग उनकी क्या जरूरत है। द न्यू गवर्नेंस मॉडल has to look at the unique requirements, the unique needs and the unique aspirations of the women of India, failing which no political party can succeed, and no government can claim to be delivering on good governance. So this is the role of women, which is changing drastically, and I think they know how to come out and vote. So that's a very, very interesting phenomena that's I think begun in India, and आप देखेंगे कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी जिससे सबकी प्रतिद्वंद्विता है, there's now the BJP bloc and the non-BJP bloc. That's how the country looks politically. They claim to have the maximum votes of women. So I think women have become extremely important politically, sociologically, and economically, and that's the truth.
But how will things change? Like, for instance, now in that committee, a 31-member committee that was looking at, the marriageable age of women, 31 members, you were the only woman in it. It has to start from the top, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You see, I would have loved it if there were more women in it. But having said that, that's a very myopic view of the situation, because we should not assume that men can't think about women empowerment. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt, one. And two, I think the larger issue is having more women in taking decisions on governance. There should be more finance ministers who are women. There should be more home ministers who are women. There should be more chief ministers who are women. Because unless that happens, the paradigm shift of gender parity will not happen. For instance, you're looking at this committee. So who are the people who select the members of this committee? And this committee it merges many ministries. There's the education, youth welfare, and the women and child development, right? It is to be what is to be called HRD, if you remember. So it is the parties who sent their MP. So Mamata Banerjee decided to send me, but the other party leaders didn't send women, knowing that this department also has women and child development. Okay, but that's what actually happened. And apart from me, there is one member of parliament from the Congress party who's been recently made part of this committee from Himachal Pradesh. So we are two of us. But having said that, I wish there were more women, not just in this committee, but in important positions of governance like Chief Minister, Home Minister, Finance Minister, Defense Minister. That would really be nice.
Say if this was up to you, to create awareness for consent in the country amongst especially the youngsters, because we've more or less always been a very patriarchal society. How do you convince them otherwise?
Mindset that leads to rape. Like, rape is not about sex. Rape is about power. It's a power play between a man and a woman. It's never about, oh, I want to have sex and so I'm raping the woman. It's about power, exerting power over a woman. And that's the mindset that is a challenge for all of us, and I think it's across the world. It's not just India. And I think to change that, the only way to change that is to change our education system in a way where children are sensitive to that. That's the only way to do it. That's what I feel. And this is a debate that's so old and is going on for so long. But sometimes we fail to make those very small changes in our education system where you gender sensitize the boys and you sensitize the women to say it's not all right for someone to force themselves on you. And that's the way I look at it, especially in the rural India, because 65% of India is in the rural. So that's where the real challenge is, but it's doable. It's doable. I just don't understand that why we don't do it. I mean, it's a very big step which needs a very small effort. Like, I remember when I was the Mahila Congress president in the Congress party, I gave several memorandums and letters to the education minister to say it should be compulsory gender sensitization in the education system. I mean, as far as I know, I don't think they've made it compulsory as yet.
No, I think even the basic sex education is still not, it's still not up to the standard of what it should be across schools in the country.
Exactly.
And that's very unfortunate, because I think the times have changed, and more than anything, the exposure is so different for the young generation that if we don't keep up with what they're exposed to, the denial is unfortunately not what will take us forward. But I'm going to move on to, talking not just work, but let's talk about you, Sushmita. And I remember when I had this conversation with Priyanka Chaturvedi on the show, and she said as well, and I think she's also written about why don't politicians have more downtime? Why is it a problem if we have a downtime? And I remember asking her, why do women politicians have to, pardon the language, but dumb down in their dressing in a sense? Why can you not be what you want to be? What do you think?
I think I have seen very, very well-dressed women parliamentarians in my tenure as a parliamentarian. I think Supriya Sule, who's a very good friend of mine, dresses so well. I think Priyanka Chaturvedi dresses so well. Mahua Moitra dresses so well. And there are loads of names I can give you from the south of India where most of them dress very well. So there's no such thing. I mean, I always dress down because I think my comfort is more important than, like, I have never been able, even as a lawyer, I could never open my hand have it in the right place, walking into a court because I was a litigation lawyer. So I think it's a very individual thing, and I think women politicians can be quite hot. There's nothing stopping them. I mean, I know
Oh no, and
enough
they have the
hot
best
politicians
bags.
out there. The moment you
The
wear,
moment you get into like Western clothes, why can't you wear Western clothes to Parliament? I mean, if
I
somebody wants
totally
to, there
agree.
was such a big furore when I think
About
there was a couple of the new MPs who wore, I think, who were not very traditionally dressed when they came to Parliament for the first day.
You see, I when I travel on a flight or I travel very often on a train also. I'm all the time in track pants or jeans and all of that. Now in Parliament, I mean, it's a tricky thing. I think Parliament is a little formal. So, but I have seen men parliamentarians come in jeans and even a leather jacket because many of them are
Oh,
film stars,
really?
as you know.
Oh, yes,
Like
of course.
especially in the Trinamool Congress, there are many of the parliamentarians who are film stars. So I've seen that. So I don't think it matters. To me, it doesn't matter. But some people will hold the view that when you walk into Parliament, we maintain a certain sense of, I think,
Decorum.
formality. I wouldn't even use the word decorum. That's all it's about. But I mean, theek hai. If somebody wears it once in a while, it doesn't really matter. Not to me, at least.
These MPs who are celebs or sports stars, do they add a certain kind of, or, let's just say something different in your day?
You see, cinema is very big in this country, whether we like it or not. Whether it's Tollywood or Bollywood or South, cinema is very much a part of our lives, and uh, I'm not at all surprised to see so many film stars in the Parliament. Like Shatrughan Sinha recently won from Trinamool Congress, because we've seen film stars like Jayalalitha, etc., who've gone on to become big mass leaders and have run very big states. So it's a very much a part of, if you like, a part of our political history that film stars have done pretty well. I mean, we still have Jay Bachchan ji in Rajya Sabha. We've had Nargis and Sunil Dutt in the past, and let me tell you, they've been known as very good parliamentarians. Javed Akhtar was in Rajya Sabha, was a very good parliamentarian. So there are examples on both sides, and yes, it's quite exciting to have film stars in Parliament. But I do feel strongly that when you are a film star and you're parliamentarian and then you don't attend Parliament, I think that's a
Um,
bit disappointing. Because if you choose to represent people, especially if you're elected, then one expects you to come to Parliament because that's where the policies are made. Whether you speak in Parliament or not doesn't matter, but not to go to Parliament at all, I think I have some reservation vis-a-vis that.
what is the general
Yeah.
sentiment amongst all of you who are out on the roads, don't know where you are the next day, working nonstop, and when these, some of these MPs don't turn up, maybe did turn up once or twice in the entire term?
Now, I'll give you another example. There was a very tall leader of Jharkhand who had a seat somewhere next to mine in the 16th Lok Sabha, and he never hardly came to Parliament, but he never lost an election. Okay, so politics is very strange. So you think here is Sushmita Dev and Moitra and all these people who speak so well, have been to the United Nations and all of that, and then they suddenly lose an election. And then you see one person sitting in Parliament who's not very impressive, totally ordinary looking, like you won't have the time of the day for him or her, and they are a 6 times MP. So
What do you say?
India's full of contradictions. It's a mixture of many things. But I think what keeps a person as a member of parliament inside the house is really what they do also in their constituency, and that's the key to it, really. So it also depends on the nature of your constituency.
What do you like doing in your
Okay.
free time? I read somewhere you like cricket, you like golf. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm a very keen golfer, but to be very honest, I haven't gone to the golf course for the last almost 5 years. No time. So I'm almost 50. I make sure I work out whenever I can. And when I'm really, really, not doing anything, I end up reading, or honestly, I end up watching films on Netflix and Prime Video and stuff like that. But I like sports a lot, so if I get the time, I always do a little bit of kickboxing, or I
Oh,
play
lovely.
a bit of badminton or something, because I love sports. So those are the things I do in my free time, but it's not easy to take out that time anymore. I have to say that.
No, I love sports as well, so I hear you. And I'm almost 50 as well, so I hear you when you say the exercise. And
50
also,
at 50, my nutritionist tells me that don't get onto the weighing scale, because you're not going to be happy, but keep working out and keep your food under control, and just feel good. Don't worry about looking good that much. So I think that's a tip for you today. No, although you look
why ever not?
very, very good.
Why ever not?
You're looking very,
No,
very
thank
good
you.
from
But I need,
from
I
where
need
I'm
the,
looking.
I need the tip. I needed the tip because I'm always looking. And I think the other thing nutritionists say is to, just leave that last bite on the plate. Don't go the whole
Exactly.
hog at 50. So
Absolutely.
I'm
Yeah,
failing,
that's true.
Sushmita.
People
I'm
always
failing.
say get up from the table always a little hungry. I think that's
Little
that's an
hungry,
age-old
right?
Japanese way of or Chinese, I think, way of staying thin. But that's
Yeah.
always a challenge. It's a big, big challenge, but we have to deal with it. But let's
We
hope that we stay healthy. That's more important.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And we'll exchange notes on the diet plan some other day.
Yeah,
But
sure.
thank you so much, Sushmita, for
It
taking
was
the
lovely
time out
talking to
today.
you. Thanks a lot.